Hi everyone, it's Monday morning. I can't believe it. The weekend was wonderful and sunny and bright. I guess Saturday did rain, but we really needed it, so my fruit trees are real happy. I want to remind you that today's your last day to use those coupons that you got in July. They were good all of August. Today's August 31st, tomorrow September 1st. And this week, a lot of schools in my area start. So I hope if you're going off to school or you have someone going off to school, everything goes well for you because it's a new season coming. But let's get started. I got some great cards I designed for you this weekend. I can't wait to share them with you. So look at this beautiful card. Isn't that pretty? I had a lot of fun this weekend designing this card based off of another card that I saw. I'm going to zoom out so you can see. I saw this card online this weekend and I thought how interesting these little wheat stalks are. And I thought, well, we could copy it exactly or we could make our own. So I came up with this card using the Loyal Leaves stamp set that I love. I absolutely love this set. We only use this stamp and this little sentiment. And so let's get started. It won't take long. It's a super easy card to do. And I think my nails sort of go with it. You like my sparkly nails? Something new. Trying it out. We'll see how it goes. So to get started, we're going to need some supplies. And just in case you don't know, my name is Virginia Kilmore. Should you need any stamping supplies, feel free to use this code. It'll help a hostess out this month. If you have any thoughts or questions about the card, please feel free to leave me a comment or a thumbs up because it helps me get my video out to other people. And the list of all the supplies are here. We're going to start out with an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. We're going to need a piece of Cajun Craze that's 4.25 by 5.5, and that's going to get glued right on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Looks like I didn't cut myself a piece for the inside of the card, so I have to do that today. Hopefully I'll have something laying around that'll work. But I'm going to go ahead and start with some glue and get this glued down. Let that set aside. So I'm going to need a 4.25 by 4 by 5.25 piece of cardstock. I actually think I made it smaller, 3 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I have one. If I don't, we'll just cut one real quickly, and I don't. So I'm going to get my little paper cutter out. Oh, maybe I do have one right here. Let's see how big this is. So the nice thing about this, I can figure out how big this is using my little paper cutter, the measurements on here. I don't know if this is quite big enough. Yep, not quite big enough. So we're going to just go ahead and cut a new one. 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. And that's the piece we're going to stamp on. We're going to stamp all the way around. Now, this looks a lot more complicated than it actually is, but it's super easy to do, especially if you imply the terms north, south, east, and west. That's how I stamp. And then you stamp in between with the other color. And I'm going to start right out with the Cajun Craze. We're using these two colors today, Bumblebee and Cajun Craze inks. So I'm going to start with the Cajun Craze because I want that to really stand out. And it's easiest to work with the north and south concept. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp once north, once south. I didn't really center that very well, but hopefully once I finish the card, it will be okay. You know what? I don't like it. I'm going to change it up. You see how I didn't go quite as high as I should have? That's why there's two sides of a card stack. So if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. So we're going to start north up at the top, and I'm going to try to eyeball halfway. Now south, but it's technically north because I turned the card. So there you go, north, south, east, and west. I've got all four of those done. I'm going to close this up till we need it for the sentiment and pull out my bumblebee, but I need to clean my stamp first. I don't know how you clean your stamps. I do like baby wipes, though you have to be careful the baby wipe type you get, because you can get baby wipes that have a lot of fiber on them and they end up being on the stamp. Now, what I'm going to do is stamp in between my two that I've already stamped. You see how I stamped? I guess that's north, west. This is north, south, northeast. I'm being very technical today. Southeast. But it's really just in between. Now you don't have to be super exact or super perfect because you will be covering it up with copper foil and then a scrap piece that we'll use right here. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I thought older and wiser was so appropriate. But you do want to leave your stamp down for a couple seconds to really get that ink to show up. So I'm going to hold it for a couple seconds. And then I have two punches, my 2 by and my 2 1/4 inch punch, which I'm going to use today. And I'm going to go ahead. I got sort of a little ombre effect going. I think yesterday I might have cleaned my stamp pad by sort of rubbing ink to another surface. And so now it has sort of an ombre effect, which I actually don't mind. Now, I am using copper, our new copper foil paper. It has a burnished surface to it that I love, but I happened to cut one out the other day that was a little too big. So I'm going to use a Post-it note to help me recut that stamp. Actually the piece of paper, and I like to put it on here so that I can control it when I put it in. Need to open up my punch and then bring it right in, and I'm just recutting a hole that I cut the other day. See? Oh boy, I did that pretty good. That's kind of a nice ring. I'll be keeping that. You never know when you could use it. I know at some point I'll be wishing I had it, so I always like to save that. I love how our punches close by just pushing this little button back, and then they can stack really nicely. So my card's almost done. I just need to glue this together and then put it on. I'm going to be using dimensionals to put it on. I forget that our old pads close a little differently now that I'm so used to the new ones. So I'm going to get some nice big dimensionals. And of course, I'm only finding little ones. Well, they'll work too. Nope, I found some. I've already pre-made a bow with the copper metallic ribbon. I love this ribbon. I have run out of it several times. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my cardstock. I always get tickled when I see something stamped on the other side that I did wrong. I'm so proud of myself for pushing through and fixing it. Okay, I always like to make sure that I glued that on just right. I'm noticing my fingers are a little dirty, so I'm going to have to use my little eraser to fix this little spot. You probably can't even see it, but that took off a little bit of my mistake, my oopsie. Okay. My granddaughter loves to say, oopsie daisy, or oops. It's so fun to hear her talk now. She's just a year and a half and so full of life. It's just really, really fun. Now, when you're gluing down to copper foil, you do have to be really careful because it takes a little bit longer to dry. And so it may move around for a few minutes. So that can be good. You can have extra time if you need it to readjust. But sometimes when I flip it over like this and then flip it back, I notice it's not quite in the spot I had it in. So I want to just make sure that it is, and I can see it moved a tiny bit. And now I'm just going to place that right in here. And then I just need a little glue dot to go ahead and put this little ribbon on that I'm pre-made. Now I sort of pulled off the glue dot by pushing up on it, and it sort of rolled itself on there so that I don't have glue dots sticking out. And there's a very quick and easy card that we cased today, but we made it our own. I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and that I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And I hope you have a sparkly day.